Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Shri Shri Nitai Sachinandande Bhagwan Ki Jai. Yes, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, I would like to share some slides. So if you could make me co-host, that would be good.
You can go ahead. You can
Okay,
do it.
Prabhuji. Okay, sounds good. All right. Thank you, Prabhuji. Is my screen visible?
Yes, bro.
Okay, okay, Prabhuji. Then I'll start. See, devotees are joining one by one. Is that okay?
Yes, but please go ahead and chat to
Okay.
join.
Okay. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. My name is Jaya Nitai Das. This is my first Srimad Bhagavatam class that I'm giving in ISKCON Portland Sangha. So it's been a great honor. I've been invited by His Grace Jai Sachinandan Prabhuji to give this, to do this service. It's been my desire, but I really, really feel underqualified to take up this service. So I really request all of your blessings. I beg at your lotus feet that please bless me, that the words come with the right mood and the right service attitude, and whatever I'm saying, it's purely for my own purification. So. Yeah, I'm a relatively new devotee. I came in Krishna consciousness by because of His Grace Paramakarna Prabhuji and Her Grace Damur Leela Mataji's Bhagavad Gita class in 2019. So my journey started from there. So compared to how many years I have spent in the moment, a lot of the devotees have spent decades and touched hundreds and hundreds of devotees' lives and made them take up to devotional service. So I'm just a child in front of all of you. So that's why I'm begging mercy to do the service in the right mood. So please bless me. Okay. So we'll start with today's verse. We are starting from the chapter 13, verse 34. Pitari uparate pandau sarvanah suhridah shishun arkshatam vyasanatah pitravyau kva gatav itah. Pitari uparate pandau sarvanah suhridah shishun arkshatam vyasanatah pitravyau kva gatav itah. Pitari uparate pandau sarvanah suhritah shishun arakshatam vyasanatah pitravyau kva gatav itah. Would anyone like to recite?
I can tell you.
Yes,
Pitiryu parate pandav sarvana suhradas shishun arakshatam vyasanataha pitravyo vagatavita. Thank you, bro.
anyone else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Pitare uparate pandau sarvana suhruda shishun arakshatan vyasanatah pitravyo kwa gata ita. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Anyone else would like to try? Okay.
Pitariyuparte Pandu Sarvana Surdashashun Rakshatam Vyashanata Petravaya Vagata. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Okay. Uh, then we can continue with the synonyms. So, Pitari, upon my father, Uparate, falling down, Pandav, Maharaj Pandu, Sarvan, all, Naha, all of us, of us, Sihritaha, Suhritaha, well-wishers, Shishun, small children, Arakshatam, protected, Vyasanataha, from all kinds of dangers, Pitravyav, uncles, Kwa, where, Gatau, have departed, Itaha, from this place. Translation by His Grace, His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. When my father Pandu fell down and we were all small children, these two uncles gave us protection from all kinds of calamities. They were always our good well-wishers. Alas, where have they gone from here? Okay. So since there is no purport in this verse, we'll take the next verse also. Verse 35. Suta uvacha kripaya sneha vaiklavyat suto viraha karshitah atmeshwaram achakshano na pratyahati piditah. Okay, synonyms. Suta uvacha, Suta Goswami said, kripaya, out of full compassion, sneha vaiklavyat, mental derangement due to profound affection. Sutaha, Sanjaya, viraha karshitaha, distressed by separation. Atma Ishwaram, his master. Achakshanaha, having not seen. Na, did not. Pratyaha, replied. Ati piditaha, being too aggrieved. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Suta Goswami said, because of compassion and mental agitation, Sanjaya, not having seen his own master, Dhritarashtra, was aggrieved and could not properly reply to Maharaj Yudhishthir. Purport. Sanjaya was the personal assistant of Maharaj Dhritarashtra for a very long time, and thus he had the opportunity to study the life of Dhritarashtra. And when he saw at last that Dhritarashtra had left home without his knowledge, his sorrows had no bound. He was fully compassionate towards Dhritarashtra because in the game of the battle of Kurukshetra, King Dhritarashtra had lost everything, men and money, and at last the king and the queen had to leave home in utter frustration. He studied the situation in his own way because he did not know that the inner vision of Dhritarashtra has been awakened by Vidur, and that therefore he had left home in enthusiastic cheerfulness for a better life after departure from the dark well of home. Unless one is convinced of a better life after renunciation of the present life, one cannot stick to the renounced order of life simply by artificial dress or staying out of the home. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So thank you all for joining today's Sunday Srimad Bhagavatam class. So I'll share my presentation slides that I've put together. All right, so we'll start with a short recap of where we are right now in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the 1 second. Okay, so in the beginning of 12th chapter, the sages of Shaunakadi, the Shaunakadi rishis, they asked a question about Maharaj Parikshit. So they asked that how was he born in the womb of Mother Uttara, and how was he, how did he live? How did he leave this body and he leave his body, and what did he achieve after his death? So Sutta Goswami, he's taking a long route in coming to answer this question, where he starts, he starts explaining the sequence of events which took place before the coronation of Maharaj Parikshit. So in that, first he's going to discuss how Vidurji came, and then how he, gave good advice to Dhritarashtra and made them look for a higher purpose. And then later, how the Pandavas leave and how Maharaj Parikshit got coronated. So that's how the next consecutive chapters go. So this particular chapter 13, it has 6 different sections. So the first section is Vidurji returning from pilgrimage. And then second is Maharaj Yudhishthira arranges reception, and talks were exchanged between Maharaj Yudhishthira and Vidurji. And then next is Vidurji's purpose in staying. He starts preaching Krishna consciousness to everyone in in Maharaj Yudhishthira's palace. And then Vidurji chastises Dhritarashtra. That's the 4th section. And the 5th one is Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, and Vidur leaves, and Maharaj Yudhishthira laments. So this is the section where we are currently. And the 6th one is, the next one will be Narada Muni shatters Maharaj Yudhishthira's lamentation and illusion. Okay, so the particular verse 34, where Dhritarashtra had left, and Maharaj Yudhishthira is seriously lamenting. He is like, my dear uncle, they took care of me when I was a small child along with my brothers, and we had no one to take care, and he took care. But if you see in the story of Mahabharata, that's not what really happened. Dhritarashtra was trying to get rid of them at every single opportunity. But Dhritarashtra, being a pure devotee, Yudhishthira Maharaj being a pure devotee, he does not see faults at all in others. So in the purport for the previous verse, Srila Prabhupada has explained here that Dhritarashtra had suffered the effects of his own misdeeds by the will of the Lord. But Maharaj Yudhishthira was thinking only of his own misdeeds, of his own unavoidable. Sorry. The slides just went all the way. Hold on. So, unavoidable misdeeds. So that is the nature of a good man and a good devotee of the Lord. A devotee never finds fault with others, but tries to find his own and thus rectify them as far as possible. So if you see here, the angle, the perspective with which Srila Prabhupada is explaining the qualities of Yudhishthira Maharaj is that he's a pure devotee. So one thing we should understand while discussing some of the personalities from Mahabharata, while discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, is that Mahabharata is purely a Dharma Shastra. So who are the target audience for that Mahabharata? Is that those who have karmadikar, meaning that who are not devotees yet, and those who have karmadikar means they should do what is favorable for dharmic life and avoid everything which is adharmic. So that was the whole purpose of predominant purpose of Mahabharata. So of course, Srimad Bhagavad Gita comes in Mahabharata as a small section, but predominantly Mahabharata is a Dharma Shastra. And all the qualities of the characters like Maharaj Yudhishthira and Arjun and Bhim, the explanations which are given there, they're purely in the point of dharmic lifestyle. But if you see in Srimad Bhagavatam, this is totally different. Srimad Bhagavatam is purely a bhakti scripture. I forgot which Puran it is. In one of the Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam is referred to be that Puran where the story of Vritrasura has been explained. So, so is that the only story that is there in the pastime that is there in Srimad Bhagavatam, or is that the Vritrasura pastime is also present in so many other Puranas? So, why is that mentioned that way? Because in every other Puran, which are not Bhakti scriptures purely, the angle, the perspective with which the pastime of Vritrasura has been explained is that Indra, who is the Devata, I mean the king of the Devatas, and what did he do? He destroyed the opponent who was demoniac, the Vritrasura. But the angle with which Srimad Bhagavatam explains this, Vritrasura being a pure devotee, a perfect devotee, where he does not have any bad qualities. And in this description of Srimad Bhagavatam, Indra is like nobody. He's not part of the picture at all. He's a person who is there and he's just feeling bad that what is going on. The demon, supposedly a demon, is more exalted than he himself is. So if you see, that is the angle with which Srimad Bhagavatam explains the personalities. So that's the same perspective with which Srila Prabhupada is explaining here, that Yudhishthira Maharaj is having all these qualities because he's a pure devotee. He does not see fault in others. That's just not in the nature of a pure devotee. So, and in the previous verses, there was also mention of how Yudhishthira Maharaj does not have any enemies, like Ajata Shatru, like he does not consider anybody his enemy. So, hold on for a second. I don't know how to get rid of this line. So he does not have any enemies at all, because he doesn't consider anyone his enemy at all. So he's able to do this, like I said, because he is a pure devotee. Naturally, he does not see faults in others. So as a sadhaka, we all have like me in particular, have a lot of this fault-finding attitudes in myself. So our goal is to remove these anarthas. Like our goal is that, okay, for achieving Krishna prem, to achieve the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, I should not be having any of these bad qualities. So how do we do this? How do we get to that stage where we cannot see fault in others, like Yudhishthira Maharaj? So first, let's see where this fault finding that is coming from. What is the root cause? So this particular thing I have taken from Harinam Chintamani. Here, Haridas Thakur, Srila Haridas Thakur is explaining that there are 4 kinds of anarthas. So the first one is Asat Trishna, that is thirst for impermanent objects. Then second one is Hridaya Daurbalyam, where it's weakness of heart. And the third one is Tattva Vibhrama, that is misunderstanding of spiritual truths. And fourth one is Aparad, offenses. So these 4 items, they are complementary in a way. It's not like one does not impact another. So for example, this Asat Trishna, thirst for impermanent objects, anything which is not related to Krishna. So these kind of things automatically will make one's heart weak, because the more and more you enjoy in, you have the thirst for impermanent objects, the more, and you say yes to those urges, automatically your heart will become weak in saying no the next time. So that is Hridaya Daurbalyam. And the Tattva Vibhrama, this is like misunderstanding of spiritual truth, that is lack of Sambandha Gyan. All of this is going to culminate in Aparads. So if we take this Hridaya Daurbalyam alone and then focus on the components of it, that is also explained in Harinam Chintamani. So it has 4 aspects. First one is envy. The second one is desire for fame. Third one is deceitfulness or fault finding. And fourth one is attachment to objects unrelated to Krishna. So here is that fault finding thing. So its root cause is Hridaya Daurbalyam. So it is originating from having weak heart. So what does it mean? That when one has weak heart, one is not fully satisfied in Krishna consciousness, what happens is we try to see fault in others. This is the root ingredient. So what happens if we don't keep these things under check? So as a sadhaka, we are supposed to remove these things slowly. But when we don't try to curb them, what happens is these will culminate into sadhuninda. Like this is the main theme that I would like to discuss today. So one when these envy, deceitfulness, fault-finding attitude, these kind of things, if we apply it to a devotee, what happens is we commit offenses. So it's one of the biggest problem for a sadhaka. So like Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport of verse 35, one should understand what is the prayojan, that is the what is the destination and what is the means for it. That's the abhideya and sambandha. So without understanding these three, it's very difficult to make progress, in the sense that if you don't even know what is lying ahead and how to get there, how do we even make progress? So to develop in Krishna consciousness, we need to start understanding the philosophy very well. And one of the philosophies that is most important for the sadhaka, like I said, is the sadhu ninda. So first, let's split this and then understand what is ninda first, and then next see who is a sadhu. Okay. So here is a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, where it is explained, Yadi Vaishnava aparada utehati mata upade va chinde tara shuki yaya pata. So if one commits, if the devotee commits an offense at the feet of a Vaishnava while cultivating the creeper of devotional service in the material world, his offense is compared to a mad elephant. The hati means elephant, mata means mad elephant. And that uproots the creeper and breaks it. In this way, the leaves of the creeper are dried up. So here it is explained that how serious of a problem this is for a sadhaka, where if one commits offenses, it ultimately just kills the bhakti plant. So here the devotion in one's heart has been compared to a creeper. So if one does not check offending Vaishnavas, what happens is the bhakti itself gets destroyed. So one loses faith in bhakti itself. So that's a very, very big problem for a sadhaka. So like I said, let's see what first ninda is. So a ninda is anything which is committed with a malicious intent. Malicious intent. So anything which is committed in a malicious intent becomes a offense or a ninda. So the next question is, who is a sadhu? So, okay, I just said that these anarthas we saw, fault finding, these, if we apply it to a Vaishnava, then that becomes a big problem for a sadhaka. So who is a sadhu here? Who is a Vaishnava that we should be careful about? So here again from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Leela, we are going to first see the potency of a pure devotee. Okay. So here it says, Bhakta Pada Duli Ara Bhakta Pada Jala Bhakta Bhukta Aveshesha Dina Mahabala. So Bhakta Pada Duli, that is the dust of the feet of a devotee. Dust of the feet of a devotee. Then Bhakta Pada Jala, that is water that has washed the feet of a devotee. So the dust of the feet of the devotee and the water that has washed the feet of the devotee. The third one is Bhakta Bhukta Ave Shesha. So that is the remnants, food remnants of left by a devotee. So these are very powerful potency. So let's see, these things are again from Harinam Chintamani. So in the pure Vaishnava resides Krishna's energies of Bhakti, Hladini and Samvit. So in a pure Vaishnava, these three energies of Krishna exist. Thus, by contacting a Vaishnava, one can also receive Krishna Bhakti. Okay, so by coming in association with a Vaishnava, one can receive this Krishna Bhakti. For this reason, the food remnants, the food water, and the dust from the pure Vaishnava are three powerful articles for creating Bhakti. If one stays near a pure Vaishnava for some time, one can receive the Bhakti energy flowing from his body. If one can bind that energy within one's heart, after having developed strong faith, Bhakti will develop and one's body will begin to tremble in ecstasy. So just by staying near a pure Vaishnava in a service attitude, what happens is the Bhakti energy which is emanating from their body, that if we bind it in our heart, what happens is strong faith in Bhakti will develop and automatically we will progress in Bhakti. So this is the potency of a pure Vaishnava. So thus, by living close to a Vaishnava, soon devotion will appear in one's heart. First, such a person will begin chanting the holy name, and then by the power of the name, he will receive all good qualities. So this is the thing. So by just staying closer to a Vaishnava, one is able to develop in a devotional service. So and get all the good qualities. So this is explained by the verse Yasyastir Bhaktir Bhagavat Akinchana Sarvair Gunaischa Tatra Samasta Suraha. So one who is a devotee, they get all the good qualities manifested in them. So this is the particular power of a Uttamadhikari. Okay. So let's see. The next one is the characteristics of a sadhu. So we just saw what is the potency of a pure Vaishnava, and now let's see what are the characteristics. So here Lord Krishna is explaining to Uddhavaji in the 11th canto. There are many verses. These are the characteristics that he enumerates. There are total 25 characteristics. So these are like merciful, tolerant, equal, penance without injury to the body, truthfulness, purified, engaged in welfare. It just keeps on going, like peaceful, apathy, patience, steadiness, attentive, alert, very grave. So if you see, Lord Krishna is saying that one who's a sadhu are the ones with these 25 characteristics. So in the same line of discussion that we are having, that one should not offend a sadhu, and Lord Krishna is saying that these are the characteristics one a sadhu has. If we think about it, one can think that, I have hardly met like few people with all these qualities manifested in them, and I'm pretty sure I haven't offended anyone like that. So that means I haven't committed any aparad to a sadhu. Ah, thank you so much. So one can come to that conclusion. Actually, please pump the brake for a second. Let's go to the next slide, where Kapila Dev is explaining the to Mother Devahuti this verse. तितिक्षवः कारुणिकाः सुहृदः सर्वदेहिनाम् अजातशत्रवः शान्ताः साधवः साधुभूषणः. So titikshavaha means being tolerant. Karunikaha, that means being merciful. Suhrida sarva dehinam, that means being friendly to all living entities. Okay, then Ajata Shatravaha. Ajata Shatra means one who has no enemies, the same quality as what Bhagavatam explains Maharaj Yudhishthira has. And then Shantaha, being peaceful, Sadhavaha, being abiding by the scriptures, and Sadhu Bhushanaha. So these are the Bhushana, that means ornaments of a sadhu. So this is again the same kind of explanations that Lord Krishna was telling. Here Kapila Dev is also telling to Mother Devahuti. But these are secondary qualities, because in the very next verse, Kapila Dev is saying, Mayi ananya bhavena bhaktim kurvanti ye dridam mat krite tyakta karmanas tyakta swajana bandavaha. So, Mayi ananya bhavena, that means one who has engaged in devotional service to me, bhaktim kurvanti ye dridam, with staunch devotion, who is engaged in devotional service to me, mat krite, for my sake, tyakta karmanas, who sacrifices all kind of karmas, activities, and the tyakta swajana, sacrificing one's own family relations, and the bandavaha, friendly acquaintances, one who leaves all of attachment for all of these things and performing bhakti to me, he is a devotee. That's the primary quality. So whatever we saw in the previous sections about all the qualities of Vaishnava, those are secondary qualities. The primary quality is unalloyed devotion to the Lord without any motivation. Okay, without any alternate motivation. Okay, here is another verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Shraddha Shabde, the word Shraddha, what does it mean? Vishwasa kahe sudrida nishchaya. So one who has faith in the following sentence, which is Krishna Bhakti kaile sarva karma krita hoya. That means performing Krishna Bhakti alone is enough for covering all subsidiary activities. There is no reason to perform anything else, meaning that if one is purely dedicated to devotional service to Lord Krishna, one who has faith in this statement and avoiding everything else, that is the meaning of the word Shabda. That means one who has such faith in this sentence is a devotee. That is the primary quality of a devotee. So why did we talk about this secondary and primary qualities? So because most of the time an offense happens because a person gets evaluated based on secondary qualities, right? So predominating reason for sadhuninda is because one gets evaluated based on the secondary qualities. That's the way a common man does, right? If you see outside, generally that is how a person evaluates a person. Like, okay, he's behaving so nicely, he keeps his house so clean, that means they must be really nice people. So that's the way a common man evaluates another, based on secondary qualities. But we should not adopt these standards, because our standards are different. One should only evaluate a person based on the steadiness in bhakti. So because that's the primary quality, how well one is surrendered to Krishna. That's the primary quality. So this is the key takeaway here, that do not criticize a Vaishnava based on secondary qualities, which is the primary cause of sadhuninda in the first place. Okay. So now let's go to the next sub theme, which is, when do we get these secondary qualities? Like, when does it develop? Because in our devotional path, I just said that yasya asti bhaktir bhagavat akinchana sarvai gunais tatra samasta suraha. That means all good qualities manifest in a devotee. I mean, we have like I've spent a couple of years in Krishna consciousness. Still, do I have all the qualities? No, no. Why? Let's see. So if you see all of the qualities out of 25, I've just put 13, like being merciful, tolerant, equal, truthfulness, purified, and gentle, clean, etc., etc., etc. All of these are mode of goodness qualities. What are these? Mode of goodness qualities. So when do we get these mode of goodness qualities? So in our devotional progress, for the mode of goodness to develop, first we need to subdue mode of ignorance and mode of passion. That is, mode of ignorance is tamogun, and mode of passion, that is rajogun. So when those two goes down, then we start developing, getting firmly established in mode of goodness. So that happens in the devotional growth from the stage of anartha nivriti, that is purifying all the anarthas from us to the stage of nishta. So when one goes from crosses the stage of anartha nivriti, then where one struggles with the three modes, then when reaches the stage of nishta, the lower modes goes down, and then the mode of goodness firmly established. That is the point when all these secondary qualities starts manifesting and gets firmly established in one. In a sadhaka's life, when one is in anartha nivriti, there can be like glimpses of good qualities manifesting here and there, but not all the time. There is always like a, back and forth, and that's the struggle with the three modes. Okay, so where are the proofs for this, for what I just said? So here is the proof. This is from second chapter, couple of verses from the second chapter, first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Sutta Goswami is saying, Shushrushoho Shraddhadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipraha Punyatirtha Nishevanat. So this particular verse talks about how one goes from Mahat Seva to Bhajaneshu Spriha. So the technical term is that how one takes up to devotional service. So what does Sutta Goswami say? So he's saying that by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vices, that is serving pure devotees, great service is done. By such service, by serving pure devotees, what happens is one gains the affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. That means one gets the desire to hear Shravana. It develops by serving a pure devotee. So serving pure devotee is called Mahat Seva. So one, by performing Mahat Seva, one goes to the next stage, which is Bhajaneshu Spriha. So next, the very next verse is Shrinvatam Swakataha Krishnaha Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridi Antah Sto Hi Abadrani Vidnoti Suhurat Satam. So Shrinvata Swakata Krishnaha. So by Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the desire of material enjoyment from the heart of a devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages. So one is performing bhajana kriya and who is actively endeavoring to cultivate Krishna consciousness, like develop in Krishna consciousness. What does Krishna do? He enters the heart and then he does abhadrani vidhanoti. He cleanses the heart, like he cleanses all the anarthas in our heart. That is the stage of anartha nivriti. And that happens to one who has developed the urge to hear the message of Krishna Katha. Okay, so Then the next verse, that is Nashta prayeshva abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. So by regularly serving Bhagavat sevaya, that is the person Bhagavatam, that is devotees, and the Bhagavatam being the Bhagavatam books. So by serving these two, what happens is nashta prayeshva abhadreshu, that is almost completely the things which are troublesome to the heart gets destroyed. That is the struggles with the three modes, that almost gets destroyed. And then what happens, that is the stage of nishta, when one almost subdues these three modes. Then the loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental song, is established as an irrevocable fact. That's the stage of nishta. When subdues the modes, then the steadiness in bhakti that gets established. Okay, so then what happens? Next verse, tada rajastamo bhavaha kamalobhadayaschaye cheta etair anaviddam stitam sattve prasidati. That means after reaching nishta stage, then rajas tamo bhavaha kamalobha adayascha. So that is the nature of tamo, that is ignorance, and rajas, mode of passion, those goes down along with lust, desire, and hankering. Everything gets destroyed. That's the kama, lobha, adaya. Everything along with kama and lobha, they all gets destroyed, and the devotee is established in the mode of goodness, and he completely becomes happy. Okay, so that's the stage at which one purely develops these mode of goodness qualities. So what did we learn from these couple of verses is that one should not evaluate a devotee based on the secondary qualities. So why do we say that? Because it is similar to a person who is going to gym. Like take two people, for example. One is nearly, like, let's say 250 pounds. Another person is like 6 feet tall and 200 pounds. Both of them are going to gym, and they start working out like equal amount of effort. After a year or so, the person who started off with 200 pounds, they are like developing muscles and looking like amazing. Their body is looking amazing. But one who started off with 250 pounds of body weight, they, after putting equal amount of effort, let's say they have come to 220 pounds, like 30 pounds were lost in a year, but their body doesn't look the same as the other person. So why am I giving this analogy? Because everybody who takes to devotional service, they start off with different baggages of anarthas. One can have different levels of conditioning. So let's say one spends 10 years in Krishna consciousness. So one cannot think that, oh, this person has spent 10 years in the moment. That means he should have all these good qualities. See, this other person who also started at the same time has all these good qualities manifested. That means this person is not good. He's not doing devotional service properly. No, that's not the way one should evaluate. Because, like I said, it's similar to weight loss. So when this is similar to, we should understand that when we see a train far away, when we see the engine coming, that's the first thing what we will see, the first car. We should understand that the next sets of cars, those are all on the way. It's just we haven't seen it, but it is coming. It's on the way. Because when one performs devotional service properly, automatically all these qualities will start manifesting one after another. It's just a matter of time. Okay, so one should only evaluate one on the steadiness of bhakti and not on secondary qualities. So if we want to compare one just based on their secondary qualities, because one can say that I don't know that person, all I see is how he behaves when he comes in public assembly, is that one should then see how did he behave a couple of years ago, like the secondary qualities alone. How was it few years ago compared to now? So that can be vaguely used as a option to evaluate a person. Meaning that one should compare one's own secondary qualities, not compare two different people. So that's the point. Okay. So then next thing to understand is look at our own anarthas. So I am for sure have lots and lots of anarthas. So when I see other people having similar anarthas, I have faith in the process of pure devotional service, that by performing pure devotional service, all these anarthas in me will start going down and eventually it will go away. And I should give the same benefit to others, because when I see faults in others, I should give the same benefit that no, okay, they are also performing pure devotional service. Eventually, those anarthas will also go away. So that attitude that we should all cultivate, that I should in particular cultivate. So and finally, the evaluation, it should be done on the platform of how to offer respect, not on the platform of how one can feel superior to the other person. I did it again, didn't I? Sorry. Discard. Just hold on for a second. Okay. Here. Okay. So we should evaluate based on the concept of how one can offer respect instead of how to feel superior. Okay. So so based on this conversation, one can think that okay, it doesn't look like we can act nice at all. Like, what is the point? I'm sure that I'm not at the stage of Nishta. So how does it matter if I behave nicely or not? Does it have no value? Actually, no, it does have value. So we should first understand difference between external reactions, and internal feelings. We can kind of fake it or try, like, put some endeavor in terms of behaving nicely externally, but we have very little control on what goes on inside us. So for example, an air hostess, when they face an provoking situation where a customer is kind of like behaving so nicely, they still smile because they get paid for it, that they value their salary, they value the benefits that come with it. So because of that, they put a like a nice behavior on the external side, but what goes on internally, that is they have very little control over it. The same can be said for when our boss scolds us. We value our money, salary, so we put effort to behave nicely, but internally we can feel very bad about it. So this is just simple cost benefit analysis. We value the monetary compensation. Because of that, we behave nicely in these two situations. Similarly, we should value the spiritual credits that we have earned by performing devotional service. So if we start behaving badly just because we don't have that natural virtue of humility inside, what happens is we start committing offenses and losing our devotional credits. So because of that, we must put effort in behaving nicely externally, even though one should understand that the internal humility as a virtue, that takes time to develop, that comes with advancement in devotional service. Okay, so the key takeaway here is that secondary qualities take time to manifest, and one should not use that as a scale for evaluating a Vaishnava. Okay, all right, so we'll go to the next sub-theme where 15 minutes to 9. So what causes one to commit offenses? So we just saw that one should not be evaluated based on secondary qualities. What is the root cause, and when does these good qualities manifest? But what causes one to have this offensive attitude? Where is this inclination coming from? That is coming from Asat Sangha, non-devotee association. So Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila says, Asat Sangha Tyaga e Vaishnava Achare, Stri Sangha Eka Asadu, Krishna Bhakta Ara. A Vaishnava should always avoid the association of ordinary people. Common people are very much materially attached, especially to women. Vaishnava should also avoid the company of those who are not devotees of Krishna. So Asat Sangha is the main reason, and it is the quality of a Vaishnava to avoid associating with common people who are not devotees. So because of association with those who are not devotees, one is bound to produce disrespect for devotees. The devotee is careful to avoid such association. So I wanted to give a small example, but maybe I'll skip this thing. So in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, one of the angas of pure devotional service is Sangatyago Vidirena Bhagavat Vimukkair Janaihi. So giving up the association of those opposed to the Lord. So this is part of the pure devotional practice. So this is part of our sadhana, and it is very, very important. And when we cultivate this thing, when we practice this Sangha properly, the tendency to offend a Vaishnava will go away, because we tend to pick up the way that common people evaluate others, which is based on secondary qualities, just by associating non-devotees. So that is the reason why we should limit our association. So Asat Sangha, what does it mean? We should understand that what exactly it means so that we can look out for it. So Asat Sangha, Harinam Chintamani, it says that it can be divided into two. One is association with women and association with people who are devoid of devotion to the Lord. So association with women, it can be, you know, within the marriage or outside marriage. Within the marriage, one is controlled by the the partner just for sense gratification, or outside the marriage, that is illegitimate connection. So these two are Asat Sangha under the category of association with women. And association with non-devotees, they can be split into three. One is Mayavadi association, second is pretenders, third is atheists. Mayavadis, those who consider that there is no difference between a jiva and a Bhagavan, like us and God, we can become God when we progress. Those are Mayavadis. Pretenders, those who behave like devotees, those who behave like, you know, very, very nice devotees, but internally they don't have devotion. They are pretenders. One should be very, very careful. In Bhakti Tattva Vivek, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains like semblance of Bhakti, Bhakti Abhas. So there are different categories. If one is interested, they can refer to those books. And finally, atheist, one is completely non-devotee. So we should avoid all of these association in order to stop cultivating the habit of evaluating based on secondary qualities. Okay, so now how do we avoid Asat Sangha? That is important because this is the root cause of why we commit offenses, right? Okay, so here Srila Rupa Goswami says in the Nectar of Instruction, Datati pratigrahnati guhyamakyati prachati bhunkte bhojayate chaiva shadvidam priti lakshanam. Dadati, that is offering gifts and pratigrahnati, accepting gifts. Guhyamakyati, that is revealing one's mind in confidence. And prichati means inquiring in a confidential way. So, and bhunkte bhojayate. Bhunkte means accepting prasad, and bhojayate means offering prasad. So all these six activities, what happens is it develops affection for a person with whom we are performing these six activities. So it is not just for devotee association. For non-devotee association also, if one starts doing these six things, they develop affection for the other person. So that is why it is very, very important that we perform these six angas to a devotee so that we can develop that loving relation with the devotee. Because without sadhu sangha, one cannot leave asat sangha. Without devotee association, one won't be able to move away from non-devotees. So I just want to say that one need to invest their time and energy in forming loving relation with a devotee, because everyone wants to be loved, right? We all want to be loved, have loving affection with all the friends and relatives. And if that happens with the Vaishnav, then we automatically develop in devotional service. And when we have that kind of loving relation with a non-devotee, what happens is we pick up their secondary qualities and we start applying the same kind of mentality to a devotee. So the next point is that one of the 5 most important angas in bhakti, where the 64 limbs of devotional service in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that one is Sajati Ashaye Snigdha Shri Bhagavat Bhakta Sangho, that is association with like-minded, affectionate devotees. So not just association with devotees, which is the most important anga of bhakti, it is association with like-minded, affectionate devotees. This is the most important, most potent limb of bhakti. So, so that's why we should invest our time and energy in cultivating good relation with devotees. So then next one is the Anga 15 from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that is not feeling miserable in any material circumstances, and Shokadi Avasha Vartita, that is not being subject to lamentation or other extreme emotions. So if we see these two things, not being subject to intense material feelings or not being subjected to lamentation, so these two is only possible if you have pre-established Vaishnava support system. So when we have that loving relation, then when there is a challenge which comes in the life, then you have a shoulder to fall on, right? So without this, automatically one starts getting confused and fall into the trap of non-devotee association. So that's the reason why sadhu sangha is extremely, extremely important. Okay. So again, good loving advice comes from a Vaishnava, when there is affection for each other. Because as sadhakas, we all have anarthas, but when we have a good loving relation with each other, what happens is one overcomes the anarthas, where one sees faults in others. Those things are overcome because of the loving affection, and one can get good advices from each other. Okay, so when we actually interact with, invest our time and energy with a Vaishnava, we should avoid gossiping, because that's not part of our Vaishnava acharan. There is an example in Jaya Dharma, where it's a beautiful book. One should really relish this thing. There is an example of a conversation between Brajanath, who is a devotee, and Raghunath Das Babaji Maharaj, who's Uttamadhikari. What happens is there is a third person who kind of tries to create problem between these two for some material reasons. Okay, he goes and tells bad about Raghunath Das Babaji Maharaj to Brajanath, and then comes to Raghunath Das Babaji Maharaj, and then complains about Brajanath. So in this way, he tries to create problems between those two. But when they come to know, when these two characters come to know that what has happened, what they do? They just take a moment, pause, and then start discussing Krishna Katha. They didn't do gossip. If it was me, I would have kind of, emptied my heart in gossiping what has happened. So, but no, that's not how one should behave. Because if you see in the next verse, so I'll just go to the translation. One should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As the devotee thus develop their loving relationship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction, and thus by encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. Okay, so when we associate with devotees, we should get together and chant and glorify the Lord. So in this way, what happens is we encourage each other and develop devotionally. So that should be the main practice. So it goes without saying that while after hearing all this thing, if one thinks that, oh, devotee association is good, but if I commit offenses, it looks like I'll just fall down. Should I do this or no? Actually, one should understand that just fearing devotee offense and then avoiding them, it's at a lower platform. Because one should understand the glories of devotees, and then when we understand the glories of devotees, we automatically start taking steps into how to avoid those offenses. Okay. All right. So the key takeaway here is that avoid asasanga with the help of loving association with like-minded devotees, and that is the key to avoiding offenses. Okay. All right. So we have like 5 minutes. I'll try to go quick. So the next theme is, if a Vaishnava commits mistake, should we not respond? What about justice? Like people can say that, no, you don't know what happened in my life. I cannot even tell. There is so many problems which happened. How can there be no justice? Krishna is watching everything now. Why isn't that? Where is justice here? So this is a slightly bigger topic, but I'll try to quickly discuss this thing. So let's say that there is devotee 1 and devotee 2, and then they are having problems with each other. So one complains that they did so many things. Others also like, no, you did wrong. But ultimately, Krishna is watching all these things, right? So one should understand, let's say that from the devotee 1's perspective, one should understand that whatever happens in their life, right? Whatever happens in their life, one should understand, even though it comes from a devotee or a non-devotee or any cause, okay? It is not coming directly from them, but coming through Krishna. Why? Because Krishna, Brahmaji, in the 10th canto, he says, Tattenu anukampam susamikshmano bhunjanu evatma kritam vipakam hridvag vapurbir vidadan namaste jivete yo mukti pade sa dayabak. So what that means is, whatever happens in life, one should cultivate this perspective that it is coming from Krishna, even though it comes from a devotee. Because Krishna, if he wants to make us progress in devotional life, depending on the need, he might put us in some small troubles or bigger troubles, depending on how you look at it. And it can come from devotees also. So, but our perspective should be not to see that, oh, it is coming from that person. Because of him, I went into this suffering. No, it is actually given by Krishna, right? So then that's one perspective. What about the devotee one's perspective about devotee two? How should we see? That is, before we see in this way directly devotee one to devotee two, we should start cultivating the habit of seeing through Krishna's eyes, right? We don't see their secondary qualities like we just discussed. We see through the eyes of Krishna. And how does Krishna see? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that apichetsu duracharo bhajate mam ananya bhag sadhur eva samanvantya samyak vyavasito hi saha. That is, he says that even if a devotee commits most abominable action, don't consider him non-devotee. Like, consider him a sadhu. We see in the explanation of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he goes in great detail about what this durachara means. One who is addicted to violence, thievery, adultery. Like, violence, thievery, adultery, these are a devotee quality? No, it doesn't matter. Krishna doesn't see it that way. He says that one who is, ananya, he's completely dedicated to him in devotional service. He's engaging in devotional service. Krishna doesn't see him as a, non-devotee. He says that he's a sadhu. One should consider him a sadhu. And then the same line, the next one, Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat chantim nigachati. That is, he should be considered a dharmatma, a righteous person, even though he is addicted to violence, thievery, and adultery. Okay, so that's the way Krishna sees. So then again, in Nectar of Instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami, he gives this verse, how one should not see the defects in a devotee, whether it be swabhav, which is the nature, conditioning of a devotee, or bodily defects, etc., etc. One should not see all those things. So this is the way Krishna sees. Krishna doesn't see mistakes in devotee. So who are we to see? So that should be our perspective. We should see through the eyes of Krishna how he views the other devotee, instead of directly seeing that, oh, that person did it to me. No. Whatever happens to me, that is coming directly through Krishna, and whatever that person, the qualities he have, Krishna doesn't mind. So I have no business in judging them. Okay. So the final theme I just want to discuss is the culture of respect, which is we should develop this culture of respect actively, because that is the one which makes us immune to Vaishnava Ninda. So is it okay to criticize an atheist, Mayavadi, non-living objects? No. Even a Mayavadi, we should not criticize. You know why? Because we can criticize a Mayavad, the philosophy of Mayavad, but not the person who is following that. We can criticize atheism, but not an atheist. A person we cannot criticize. And even a non-living object, we should not disrespect, because Krishna is there in everything, right? So we should see in that way. And finally, we should cultivate the muscle memory in terms of avoiding offenses. It is, if you see, there is a movie, Karate Kid, where it's an 80s movie, I think, where a person comes to learn karate from the teacher, and the teacher, all he does is ask him to wash the car, wash the window, this, that. It's like wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. This is what he keeps on teaching. And this person gets so frustrated. After a couple of days, he's like, you are not teaching me anything. I came to learn karate, or you are asking me to clean your house? So then at that point, the teacher just starts fighting with him, like try to punch him. And automatically, this person who is cleaning the house and everything, what happens is its hand comes to block. And then other kick, and then a hand comes to block. What happens is he has developed a muscle memory on how to act that way, that he's naturally, performing the karate. So in this way, when we start cultivating the culture of respect, even to a non-living thing, then what happens is we develop this immunity to Vaishnava Prad. So that's the final point I just want to say. Okay, this Siddhanta is extremely important. So yeah, just quickly, I will just mention this, that there are different stages at which anarthas go away from one. Some go in the stage of, bhajana kriya, some in nishta, asakti, like completely gone. Mostly everything goes away in asakti and ruchi. These are different stages of devotional service. But aparad, when it goes, not even at the stage of prema, when one becomes an associate of Krishna, that time it goes away completely. So you can see that how much of a big problem this is. So is it worth offending a devotee? So that is what we should think, that if the problem of Vaishnava Aparadha is this big, and samskar, the inclination we develop from this, it takes stage till prema and beyond to go away. Is it worth? Is it worth having those kind of attitude in us? So that's what we have to think about. So with that, I'll end my discussion. I hope. Yeah, please forgive me. This is my first class. I don't know the material wise. I wasn't sure how much to put. It looks like it is quite some more, and hopefully I have whatever I said. Like I said, it is purely for my own purification, and I hope I did not commit offenses. If I have, please forgive me. I beg at your lotus feet. Oh, thank you so much. So, any questions, comments, feedback? I will be grateful.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Can see the tremendous amount of work and study you put into giving the Bhagavatam class. So, as you've seen, that's one of the great benefits of giving a lecture or class. That it engages one in absorption of everything into, devotional service. So, it's beneficial. I think we can all see for one's own self as well. It's very nice. Lots of interesting and important topics, and thank you for preparing all this. I'll give others a chance to. Are there questions or clarifications, reflections? Anybody wants to share?
Hi, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the wonderful class, Prabhu. This tremendous amount of preparation, beautiful exploration of the sadhu, the qualities of sadhu, secondary, primary qualities, sadhu ninda, Prabhu. Beautifully presented, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Made things to take away, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Jaya Nitai Prabhu. What an enlightening session, both inspiring and insightful. When you covered a lot of topics, and when our Acharya says that when we say something, it should be Shastra Praman. And throughout your lecture, when you cited various sources, like starting from Harinam Chintamani, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Upadeshamrit, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Bhagavad Gita, and covered various topics. I'm trying to relish, definitely. I mean, starting with the great qualities of Yudhishthira, and so helpful, like giving a quick recap of the overall 13 chapter breakdown of multiple sections, and giving a quick recap of what was discussed in the previous weeks. And I mean, I see like you're covered, like definitely, as Jai Sachinandan Prabhu and Naratumilas Prabhu said, like a lot of hard work you put in, and like definitely you might have relished and enjoyed while doing it. I mean, a quick recap on the sadhu Ninda, who is the true Vaishnava, or the pure devotee, and you covered a lot. Like I'm just trying to hopefully I learned a lot of these qualities. And devotees like you inspire us a lot. Thank you for that, and looking forward for more such lectures, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Report.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Janitai Prabhu. I have no questions, but just some words of appreciation. I joined the class like initially 10-15 minutes late. You have already established that Yudhishthira Maharaj. You were speaking about Yudhishthira Maharaj being a pure devotee by the time I joined, but yeah, I have really, I really appreciate the deep root cause analysis that you have done with the fault finding and then diving deep. And as Vedagdamada Prabhu and Narthubulas Prabhu was saying, like to various shastras, it took us through a parikrama. It took us around all the Gaudiya Vaishnava scriptures. That was really nice. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Project. It's all what I heard from senior devotees. None of this is mine. So all glories to them. Thank you so much.
Any other?
Krishna Prabhu.
Oh, Anita Mataji, thank you.
Prabhu. Yeah, I joined late too, and I wish I was not late. I have to definitely go and listen to the recording. But thank you so much, as all the other devotees noted. We see how much hard work has gone in, and as the Mother Prabhu said, you must have relished all of this completely. And I really like the PowerPoint style of presentation, Prabhu. I could take in a lot of points, and with all the wonderful examples that you gave, and then finally the key takeaways. And This is very powerful. It was a very powerful presentation, Prabhu. Thank you
Right.
so much again.
Much
I'm
better.
really looking forward to more and more lectures from you, like with the Prabhu.
Please
Hare
respond.
Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Any other comments? I like Srila Prabhupada's purport very much on, verse 35. He says some very profound statements that Sanjay was overwhelmed with distress because of feeling of affection, which led to compassion. And Srila Prabhupada, I think, says one thing in there that kind of resonates with your presentation, that we can view a situation one way because we don't know the inner vision of that devotee, right? I mean, so like you said, we view the secondary qualities and not seeing the primary quality that occurred in Dhritarashtra due to sadhu sangha with his brother Vidurji. So I thought that was a very important point, that we can see the externals, but it's much harder to appreciate the internals because sometimes they don't manifest externally in a manner that's not tuned to our heart when our heart is not fully devotional. So thank you for bringing those wonderful points out in your expansive lecture. Yes. Yes. In our Bhagavatam class on Saturdays, we've been discussing about Sri Naraji in chapter 6 of Canto 1, and how he was explaining to Sri Vyasadev about the sorrow he felt when he did not see Bhagwan again in that particular lifespan, and how Bhagwan consoled him with sweet sounding, with compassionate words. And we see how this example in conversation between devotees and Bhagwan and devotees, that there should be a mood of compassion. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who you quoted, said that love for God manifests internally as bhakti and externally as compassion for all people, all living beings. So that's that's fundamental. A rose is known by its aroma. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you are now part of the group of devotees that are giving lectures, and hopefully Anandam Bodhivardhana more and more will be coming and giving lectures.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very
Thank you so
much.
much for giving this opportunity, Prabhuji. I'm really, really grateful. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
I think we can end for session. Is that okay, Janita Prabhu?
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Please come to temple and associate devotees. Hare Krishna. And check out the Dhruvyas Cha Kiposan Devi Cha Patita Nam Pavana Bhiyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Nicely presented.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. You can end the call.
Thank you, Prabhu. Once again, Prabhu.